Hey everyone! So as you can probably see, this video is going to be a bit different from my usual stuff, and I want to start by clarifying the title. So as you all know, if you're a big fan of sci-fi games like I am, Star Wars Squadrons is coming out soon. If you haven't heard of it, I'll be explaining what it is in just a little bit. It also happens though, that at the moment there isn't a ton of stuff going on in Star Citizen, at least in terms of things that I would usually make videos about. So the timing is pretty good with the game coming out in a bit under a month. But just as an update looking forward, I'll be making some videos on it when it comes out, in addition to my Star Citizen content. I'm definitely not going to leave Star Citizen, but I think it'll be good to have some variety. This way I can make videos on topics I feel inspired to instead of just trying to come up with something to make a video on. And unless some miracle happens with 3.11, there's not going to be a ton of new stuff for me to make videos on in that update. But to go along with the launch of Squadrons, I'm going to be doing another giveaway. So if you were around for my last one, it's going to be basically the same thing. To enter, all you have to do is be subscribed and comment on my videos, and when I end the giveaway, I'll randomly pick a video from this period and randomly choose a comment. Just be sure to have your subscriptions visible so that I can make sure you're subscribed if you're the winner. Okay, so moving on to some information about Squadrons. It's going to be a Star Wars game completely focused on starfighter combat. I wasn't really around when they came out, but from what I've heard, it's kind of a successor to the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games if you've played those. So the game will feature both a campaign and multiplayer aspect, and it seems like they've put a lot of work into both, unlike the recent Battlefront games that have come out either without a campaign or with a very short campaign. I am excited for the single player, but I'm even more excited for the multiplayer. So when I first heard about this game, I was a bit worried that they were just going to expand a bit on the starfighter combat found in the new Battlefront games. Now don't get me wrong, these games did do some things right. The sound design is pretty much perfect and the graphics are amazing. They talk about all the photo scanning of old models and stuff that they did in making these new Battlefront games, and it really shows. However, that surface level goodness only goes so far, and the ship-to-ship combat was really an afterthought in terms of gameplay. It felt more like a Call of Duty type first-person shooter in a lot of ways than a true space combat experience. Time to kill is very low, and there's a ton of clutter on the maps, and I really don't like a lot of the abilities. It is definitely more of an arcade-focused game, and I think this really hurt this game mode. Also, there's a ton of just small silly things, like how you can't stop your ship, like it always has to travel forward, and the fact that there's a ton of AI in every match that are really annoying and distract from the actual combat. Squadrons, however, seems to move away from pretty much everything in this game, besides it being Star Wars. So one thing that people might not like is that from what I've seen in the trailers, the art style is a bit more reminiscent of an esports game, with a focus on simplicity and visibility rather than the realism of the Battlefront games. This is kind of a drawback for the single player experience, but I think it'll be a good thing for the multiplayer since it seems like they want to have a real competitive game. So being able to see things clearly without a bunch of visual clutter will be good for that. Also, Battlefront runs pretty well, so a less graphically demanding game like Squadrons will probably run very well on any computer that can run Star Citizen, so that's a plus. I'm expecting frame rates well above 100. The gameplay is going to be pretty different from Battlefront as well. So Battlefront did have some objectives in the starfighter modes, but normally people ignored them and just basically played deathmatch. In Squadrons though, it's going to be much more objective and team focused. The main game mode is going to be 5 versus 5, and it's going to be a sort of tug of war between you and the other team, where you try to protect your capital ships and take out theirs. And you do this in stages where you take out the smaller capital ships and then components on their larger capital ship until you finally win the battle. I'm not sure entirely how all of this is going to work, but I think it has a lot of potential, and I like the inclusion of capital ships in a way that is more than just them being props or just a part of the map. It seems like they're actually going to be a part of the battle. Also, instead of having ability cards to do things like activating a boost like Battlefront did, you'll be able to manage your ship's systems to get it to behave in these different ways.
Clear the path. Dismantle their defenses.
From what I've seen, you don't have quite the granular control of Star Citizen, but it looks like they found a good balance of having fine control and being able to make adjustments on the fly as a solo pilot. So since this game looks very promising, I want to do my best to be ready to play it, and play it competently. This won't be my first competitive game. I actually used to play Counter-Strike as my main game for a while. My rank has slipped a bit in recent times since I haven't been very dedicated to it, and it takes a lot of playing to keep it up. But just to show you I'm decent in this game, here's some footage of me in deathmatch.
Dominating!
I'm
And even though that's just deathmatch, so none of it is that serious, I'm playing on a server against some really good players, and while I was playing today, actually 2 different pros were on the server. So playing Counter-Strike has made my flicking aim pretty decent over the years, but unfortunately Squadrons is going to be much more tracking focused. You can't really flick in a game where your aim is tied to where your starfighter is pointing. So because of that, I've been looking for a good way to practice my tracking aim and improve it to get ready for Squadrons. So I'm going to be doing this from a keyboard and mouse perspective, since this is a competitive focused game. I'm sure you'll be able to use sticks or even a gamepad if you want to, but I think the precision aiming of keyboard and mouse will probably be the most competitive option as usual. But yeah, since in Counter-Strike the time to kill is pretty low and the slowdown from tagging your enemies is so high, my tracking aim is kind of lacking because you never really need to track any targets. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a kind of game called Kovacs Aim Trainer, and it's more of an aim trainer than a game. There's lots of different community created maps and ones that come with the game that help you practice different types of aiming. If you really want to be prepared, I think this is a good tool to use to do so. I would do dogfighting and Star Citizen for practice, but since Squadrons isn't going to have the same 6 degrees of freedom, and it's going to be more like airplane dogfighting, I don't think the carryover would be that high. So you do have to pay for this aim trainer tool, but if you don't want to buy it, you can also use custom maps in games like Counter-Strike or even Overwatch as long as they're tracking focused. So this first map I've been playing isn't especially great since it's only horizontal tracking, but I found this one called XYZ Far Fast Small, which seems like it would be pretty transferable since the field of view in which you're aiming is similar to what you'd be doing when flying, and the target doesn't do too many rapid jumps. Now of course none of this is necessary, and I think even the most casual player will still be able to enjoy Squadrons, but I just want to be as ready to go as I can be when it launches. It looks like it's going to be a good game, and I want to be able to play it well. So you can probably tell I'm pretty excited for this game to launch at the beginning of next month, and I hope you guys are too. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and enter my giveaway if you want a chance to win a copy of the game. Thanks for watching.